Eddie, ¿quién te cortó tu pelo? ¿Quién te cortó tu pelo?
Tu primo.
You're lying.
No, de verdad.
You're lying.
No, de verdad.
You swear. You swear? ¿Sabes?
It wasn't. It was ghetto black.
Wasn't the ghetto black?
It was 208. It was 208.
Was he high? Was he high? I'm asking you.
Ask.
I'm asking you.
I have something new. Because we got it literally in the last 15 minutes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing today? Wonderful. Good. I'm glad to hear, ladies and gentlemen, that things are going so well for you. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to go over a worksheet or the practice test number 2 near the end of the hour. I do have a practice test number 3 here. The answers are posted online. We will not get to go over them as a class, but if you're done with 2 and you want to come up and grab number 3, you are welcome to do so. If you need an extra periodic table, they're up here as well. Again, tomorrow, you guys are Thursday, you need to be on time for your final exam. And today we can play a little game, ladies and gentlemen. The game is, what do I need to get on the final test to get a certain grade? So you'll be able to come up to me one at a time, and I can show you where you are at right now, and then we can plug in numbers for this test and see what you need to get a grade. Now, please understand, don't come up to me and have a C- and go, Mr. Brand, what do I need to do to get an A? Because I will tell you what you need to do to get an A, which is invent a time machine, hop in it, go back to the start of this trimester, and do the work you did better than what you did it now. Because that's the only way you're going to get an A if you have a C at this point in time. But if you come up to me and go, all right, what do I need to do to just pass the class? I can plug in numbers and tell you what grades you need to get on this test to pass the class. Please remember, your score on this test is going to be an even number because everything is 2 points. There are 50 answers there. Every one that you get right is 2 points. Every one that you get wrong is 2 points off. Please remember, I will put any answer that you want on the test. If you come up to me and say, Mr. Brand, put Ferkium on the test, I will put it in its correct place. If you already have it there, I will put it over the top of it, and you will still lose the points for it, but at least you'll know where it goes. Now, why would you do that? Well, maybe there are 2 other clues that depend on it. I'd be more than happy to place that one so you get the other ones correct. Questions, ladies and gentlemen? The time is yours. Go to work. So, if you would like to come up to my desk, you may do so one at a time, and I will tell you what you need to get on the last thing that we will do to get a certain grade. So, I take it Christopher is coming first. Okay, there's where you're at right now.
What do I need to get to keep it?
Well, let's find out. $75. So 74. 74 will keep you at it. 72, you'll drop down.
74.
That's 37 out of 50, correct.
All right. Thank
Yes, sir.
There's no third period metalloid that's a metal.
Sure there is. In the third period, anything that touches that bold line is technically considered a metalloid. The metal would be on the metal side of it. Third period, not the second.
So, aluminum post-transition metal, that still means metalloid though?
Technically, anything that touches that line is, in a general world, aluminum's probably not really a metalloid, but just to make it simpler for you, anything that's touching that line would be considered a metalloid. Metals are on the left, non-metals are on the right. Okay?
What if I fail it?
What? Well,
Like, let's
say you get a 0 on it. That's what your grade goes down to.
Alright.
So the good news is you passed the class.
I don't want that.
You don't want to pass the class? Well, I could go back and trade some other things to zeros.
B minus.
Well, you know what you got to do now.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on a second, Josh. Just let me get your grade up here. Okay, come on around, Josh. Okay, so here's where you're at. Okay. Oh, let's do this. So to get a B, you need an 84. Okay. 0, you drop down to a D. 50, you keep your C. Good?
90%.
It's going to move you up to that B minus. So, yeah, I mean, if you get, what did we just say? An 80, what?
82 is a B.
84?
Like just
A regular B, not a B minus? You'd have to get 100. It's possible. On this test, it is very much possible. Okay? Thank you.
what is the subsidiary?
Subsidiary is that second quantum number, okay? The number of sublevels. But remember, an S is represented by the number 0, P is represented by the number 1, D is represented by the number 2, F is represented by the number 3. Okay? All right, who else? Anybody else? Kaden. All right, so there's where you're at, Caden. Okay, so let's say you get a 50. You keep your C.
Be the same thing.
Well, it'd be a C minus instead of a C, but it would still be a C. So let's do 100. You can only get up to C.
Okay.
So
That's fine.
you're going to be at this, as long as you get a 50% or higher, you're going to be at a C. 40, you would drop down to a B. Okay? So 50% or higher, you get to keep your C.
What is 0?
D, you'd still pass. So you're guaranteed of passing the course.
Trying to get like a C plus.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I had a red one and I left that one.
Anybody else? Shanza's coming up.
I just want to know what grade I have to be on the final so I can get A.
Well, come here and I'll show you. Let's start with this. 50, you keep an A minus. 40, you would drop down to a B.
I'm a 60.
You're at an A.
Okay. So I just,
60%.
so I have
30 out of 50.
That's good.
Okay. Pierce. Okay, here's where you're at. Well, let's see if you can. You need to get 100. 100 will get you an A. Okay. Next. Hang on a second, Eric. Hang on a second, Eric. I just need to get only your grade.
That's okay.
Okay, Eric.
I just want to know. I know I'm at a C minus, but I just want to know how much I have to get to pass or get like a high grade.
So you want to get a C?
Or I don't know. Is it possible to get a B?
Well, let's find out. No.
Okay,
Best you're gonna get is a C.
Okay. Okay.
100 gets you a C plus.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Phoebe. Okay, so let's put the magic number in. You're stuck in a B.
Okay.
Okay,
That's fine.
so 50, you're still at a B. That's the lowest you can get. If you get below 50, you'd go down to a C probably. So get half of them right.
I will.
Okay,
I'm gonna get 100%.
hang on one second, Morgan. I just want to bring up only your grade, so hang on. All right, there we go. All right, so this is where you're at. Okay. If you got 100, you would just move up to a B instead of a B minus. Let's do 70. 72. 74.
Wait, what's your grade?
So 78 is what you need to get a B minus to keep your B. Okay. Okay, thank you. Next. Anyone? Hang on, Jasmine. Okay, so you're at a C plus. So let's say you get an 80. 80 would move you up to a B minus. 76 would still be at a B minus. 74. So you need a 76 on it to get a B minus. Okay.
And then what would that be out of like the?
Out of 76, out of the 100, so you have to get 38 out of 50 correct.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
See, that's
Okay.
what I was thinking.
Yep,
I was
yep.
thinking
That's right.
Oh, this should be good. Hang on a second. Stay there. Stay there. I got to get your grade up.
I'm not even gonna try, bro. I'm just
Oh,
I got
there you go. It's 90 degree. All right, 90 degree. Come on over. Let's start with that.
So if I get a 50, okay.
So you need to get 7 correct to pass the class.
You mean something correct?
You got to get 7 out of 50 correct to pass the class. Otherwise, you drop down to an
7 points?
7 out of 50 correct.
Like
Like
Problems?
7
Problems?
of the 50 that you put on there have to be correct for you to pass the
like
class.
see some of these letters.
7 of the answers
Yeah, okay.
on the 50 spots.
Yeah, 7.
Get 7. Is there something you're not understanding about this?
No, I'm understanding.
7 out of the 50 correct gets you a passing grade. If you get 100, you could get a C.
74? 74%? Well, 75.
So let's say 70%.
I'll
You're at a
grade.
D.
Basically, just go up a little bit.
72. 72 gets you a C.
Okay, wait.
So that's 36 out of 50.
So for this test, you don't get 50% right away, right? Like, you don't get 50%.
Well, you got to take the test, and
No,
then
yeah.
we'll see.
Okay.
So you don't think you can get 7 correct?
No, I think I can get 7 correct.
Okay, good.
There's 4 d orbitals, right?
There are 5 Ds. Because there are 10 d electrons. You take the number of electrons in a sublevel, divided by 2. That's how many orientations or orbitals there are. Okay?
If you don't, you fight.
All right, who's next?
27.
Anyone? Okay, so there's where you're at going into it. All right, so let's try this. Okay. So you need to get a 62.
62.
62 to get a passing grade. If you're, then you fail the class. So that's what you need to get a passing grade. Otherwise, you would fail the class. So you got to get 36 out of 50 correct. Okay. It's a little over half. Yes. Anyone else? Sure, Ariana, come on up. Okay, Ariana, so let's take a look at this.
So I'm smart. I already got
Even if you get 50, you stay passing.
6. I got 6.
30, you stay passing.
G is in the same period as this.
I didn't do that one. I didn't do that one.
26. I really thought I heard something there.
You do G.
It was not me.
G is in the
Uh-huh.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Okay, so if you get about a 22, you pass. Okay, now let's go to the other end. Let's say you get an 80. An 80, you get to a C. So you're pretty much guaranteed a passing the class. If you get an 80 or higher, you would get a C in the class. Otherwise, you'd stay at the D. Okay? Thank you. Anybody else?
Isn't it here? I'll put it here.
What?
G.
Why did you put it there?
Wait, which one is mine? Which one? Which one? This is the first one.
Yes, sir.
Is G placed right?
Oh,
Right
Is G placed right? G is in the same period as the subsidiary number of a D orbital.
Right there.
The subsidiary number of a D orbital, an S is 0, a P is 1, a D is 2, an F is 3. That is the spot, not down there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. It was right here.
Anybody else for grades? Yes, sir. I know, the order I don't know. Are you asking me or telling me? Why would you do that? Well, then you probably should look at it. Why would it go through? Okay, then if I told you, then I would probably go where I told you. Okay, Eugene's not a medalist, he's a non-medalist. He is an unknown, they're isolation. I figured that. I was just asking. Yeah, where's the medal? Well, it could be on either side. It could be another one. Metalloids just touch that area. So what else in the help you determine which side of the staircase it should be? Show us the metal side. Oh, if A underwent alpha decay, what happens during alpha decay? What happens during alpha decay? Okay. So if A underwent alpha decay, the resulting element will be EB and 2 alpha particles. So each alpha particle is 2 what? What alpha decay is? Or alpha particle. If you lose 2 alpha particles, you lose how many protons? Really? If you lose 1, you lose 2. But if you lose 2, you still only lose 2. Every alpha particle gives off 2 protons. If you give off 2 alpha particles, how many protons do you lose? What is an alpha particle give off? How many? Okay. So how come if you lose 2, you can only lose 1 proton? No. Every alpha particle. No, you're never able with that. But if you lose 2 alpha particles, so you lose one, how many protons do you lose? You lose another one, how many protons do you lose? How many protons do you lose? That's not one of those. So find where the other element is. This is, I'm gonna say, you know where A is? Okay. Same period is the number of electrons that can fill a B orbital. Fill a B subatomic. Okay? And there's the same number of valence. Where is that? Okay, then put it there. I don't know where to put it. Now, where does B go? Slow down. How many protons does it lose? Loses alpha particles. For the first alpha particle, how many protons do you lose? The second alpha particle, how many more protons do you lose? 2. So how many is that? So go back how many spaces? Now finish it. If A is under a beta decay, now what happens to the beta? It was from one beta particle. No, AA. Very good. There in a second. Working my way back. Yes. Your metals have to be yes, but not metal. R is a dynamic field. Where is it? The other one below. Even though these are both non-metal, this is a better insulator. Where is the better metal? Oh, this is better metal. So it's better metal. We're about 5 up. So that's right. That means it's got to be somewhere before the flow period. Hands up. This is tetrahedral, right? This is tetrahedral.
Which one is this? What element? In the center, what element is that? So what are these? Yeah, but what are these? When we gave you this model, we said it could be either this family or this one element. What element was it? They could be. They're only forming one dot. Well, we said that when they combine, this will either be hydrogen or what family? No, it's a covalent bond. No metals in here. Noble gases are not combining into things. What? 14, that's that one right there in the center. What are these? They can only make one bond. They only can share one electron. And they only need one to be. Oh, yes. Same period as you. That's where I school. So, over here. Yes, sir.
I don't think
Who gave it out?
group 2 and group 1.
Okay. Orientation provides maximum total number of electrons. How many? Orientation. That's what I just said, yes. Okay. The third period. No, they're open. You're welcome. Yes, it does. This was trigonal plane. Right? You got this one. That's it. Listen, you're getting killed by the same clues. What shape is this? No. No. 4 sides that are all the same. Tetrahedral. This is trigonal planar. These compounds are both made up of 2 different elements. There is the central one, which would be in the family that has the tetrahedral shape. What family has a tetrahedral shape? What? Carbon family. Thank you. The carbon family. This is carbon. What are these? What was the other thing that we said could be in these compounds? Besides the central atom, what are these ones here? It could either be an individual atom or a member of a certain family. What was the individual atom it could be, which only can form one bond because it can only share one electron? What? Well, we said the family could be the what then? The halogen. Well, what other element could this be? Still only needs to form one bond by sharing one electron. hydrogen or the halogen family. You guys are getting caught up thinking that this has got to be in the spot where it's carbon family. We could be talking about these, which could be what? Did we just say? What? Or halogens. Hydrogens or halogens are attached to this. Okay? Now, we use hydrogen because it was easier to make the dot diagram, but it could be a halogen, any halogen. Why? Because they all only need one more electron to fill their outer energy level. So if you've already got the center one placed in the right family, you've got to be talking about these, which are the halogen family. Probably not hydrogen, more than likely the halogen family. Okay? Thank you. Go back to work. Shinzo, what can I do for you? Two protons per what? Alpha particle. Alpha particle. Read it again. This time it's stuck to the start. Create BB and two alpha particles. So if you lose two electrons or two protons for one alpha particle, don't worry about that. On the next periodic table, the last 4 places. Yes, very good. Okay, these are exactly what I'm talking about. Where's the best metals? What is the best metal on the periodic table? No, it's not. What? What? Crazy. Now think about it. If you got two metals that are in the same family, where's the better metal? If you got two metals in the same period, where's the better metal? So when they say the better conductor, they're telling you it's a better metal. Meaning, if it's a better non-metal, it's not a metal. It should be more up or more to the right. That makes it more valuable. Doesn't make it better. You can take all the gold you want. You give me 1 gram of cranium and I will be happy. Because I'll get $2.5 billion for my 1 gram. If you're $300 a gram of gold. Yeah, okay. What? Why would we disappear? It will disappear, not us. So I'm going to sell it right away. Even if I let it decay half away, I'll take 1.25 billion. Yes. Okay. Where's the only place where where are the families where they will react with water? Covalent radii does what as you go across the family. Really? Well, that's it. See, you got to go. Yeah. Atomic is the same as covalent. Okay. I gotta go get McKenna and I'll be back. McKenna, what can I do for you? Carbon One is a metal, one is a non. Okay? All right. Question or anything? Yes, that is zero. Yep. Where's your Oh, wait. Okay, yours is in the right spot. Yours is right. Family by itself, only element that has So now we can go back to that clue that you were asking me about with this one, Josh. The trigonal planar, the one that you're asking me about. Okay, here's the hydrogen, right? So that's where M is. So which family is this that has sp2 hybridization? Only 3 total pairs, all of them bonding, and gives you this trigonal planar shape. Okay. So then this has to go to the spot first, or okay. You understand what I mean, Josh? That's, I mean, the electron. No. Look at the periodic table. Look at the electrons on their code. Very good. The orientation or the orbitals are always half of the total number of electrons. Or you could remember, for S it's 1, for P it's 3, for D it's 5, for F it's 7. Okay, that was the quantum numbers we gave you. All right. I would like to go through this with you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, again, a couple of things. I'm getting a lot of questions about the quantum number portion that we did at the very start of this unit. There is a quantum number that represents an S, a P, a D, and an F. For an S, it's what? What does the S take the place of? What quantum number? These are the sublevels. An S does not take the place of the 2. A 2 is one of them. An S, again in the second level, you are correct. But the number that takes the place of the S takes the place of what number? What quantum number? 0. The D takes the place, I'm sorry, the P, let's stay in order, takes the place of what quantum number? 1. The D takes the place of, and the F takes the place of 3. So those are the numbers that represent the S, the P, the D, and the F. Now the second thing, an orientation and an orbital are basically the same thing. For an S, there is only one orientation, one suborbital, because it's a sphere. But for a P, there are how many? 3. For a D, there are how many? And for an F, there are how many? 7. And if you cannot remember that, it is always half the total number of electrons that fill the S, the P, the D, and the F. 3 electrons fill the S, 1 orientation. 60 electrons fill the P, 3 orientation. 10 electrons fill the D, 5 orientations. And I don't have enough figures to do 14. For the F, let's 7 orientation. Okay? Question. Same for orbitals. So whether I say orbitals or orientation, same thing. Okay? Same thing. Question. All right, let's go through this because I want to have time afterwards if you do have some questions, ladies and gentlemen. So, all right, here we go. All right. So, I need this. All right. All right. Again, I am going to go through this quickly, but please stop me if you have a question. Okay? If you don't stop me, I'm going to keep rolling. But if you stop me, I will explain whatever we need to. A is a fifth period alkali metal. Alkali metals are group 1. There is where A goes. That is probably the worst A I might have ever written in my life. By the way, when you write a symbol on a periodic table, the first letter is always capital and the second one is always lowercase. You don't write them that way on the test tomorrow. I mark them wrong. Okay? B is a third period halogen. Here's the halogens. Here is the third period. Now the difference between this and tomorrow will be the element named after the scientist who found the electron is a third period halogen. Who found the electron? Thomson. So you would put his clue there. Okay? Now someone asked me yesterday, well, why haven't you been giving us clues like that all along? Why? Because to me, the yellow sheet is the easier part. You should have written down what each one of those scientists did. You should have written down what inter and intramolecular are. You should have written down what van der Waals and London dispersion forces are. I'm not going to try to fool you with that part. Okay? So the harder part to me is figuring out where to place that clue rather than the answer to that clue. Does that kind of make sense? Good. C is a fourth period noble gas. That goes here. And some clues are going to be that easy, ladies and gentlemen. If you mess that up, you're going to struggle. You got to get the easy ones. D is a second period alkaline earth metal. Second period alkaline earth metal. E is a third period metalloid that is considered to be a metal. Third period metalloids border the bold zigzag line. The metal side is over here. The non-metal side is over here. F is a sixth period element that can have a +4 or -4 charge as an ion. Sixth period, group 14. That is where F goes. G is in the same period as the subsidiary number for a d orbital. The S is 0, the P is 1, the D is 2. So it's in the second period. Okay? I lost my clue number now. Where am I at, ladies and gentlemen? Somebody help me out. G is in the same period as the subsidiary number of a d orbital, period 2, and has an ionic charge of -2, group 16. H is a seventh period element with the same number of valence electrons as there are d orbitals. There are 5 d orbitals, so I go to the seventh period. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is where H goes. G minus 2 is isoelectric to I. I already have G on here. Isoelectric means it has the same electron configuration. Non-metals have the same electron configuration as the noble gas at the end of their row. So that is where I is going. Questions? J is an inert gas that has not yet been created or discovered. Well, since I wrote this, guess what? It's been created. But if I talk about something that I don't believe I have that on the test, but if I talk about something that is yet to be created or yet to be discovered, that goes down at the bottom down here. Okay? I think I took those off and I think I changed them on the test to say this man-made element instead of is yet to be discovered. K has the highest ionization energy. What element has the highest ionization energy? Helium, so I'm going to put K where helium goes. L is the most reactive metal. That's francium. M is sometimes considered to be a family by itself because it can act as both a metal and a non-metal. We are talking about the spot of hydrogen. Both N and O react with water to form a base. That was the reactions that I did in the back.
That means it's either an alkali or an alkaline earth metal. Okay? They're in the same period as the number of orientations of a p orbital. That's 3 orientations. So N and O are going somewhere in here. N has a larger covalent radius, so it is going to be first. O is going to be second, ladies and gentlemen. Questions? All right. T is in the same family as F and has electrons in the F orbitals. F is here. This is the same family. The only time you have electrons in the F orbital is in 6 and 7. And since F is in 6, T has to be in 7, because otherwise you would not have electrons in the F orbitals. The D would be in the 4th and 5th, 6th and 7th. The F are just in the 6th and 7th. P, Q, R, and S are all in the same family as F. R and S are nonmetals. P and Q are metals. Metals are at the bottom. R is a better insulator. Being an insulator is a property of a nonmetal. The nonmetals are better where on the periodic table? Top or bottom? Top. So therefore, R is going to go here. S is going to go here. P is a better conductor than Q. Being a conductor is a property of a metal. Better metals are where? At the bottom, closer to francium, yes. But again, we're in a family. So in a family, we're talking about higher up or lower down. If we're in a period, we're talking about left or right. So P goes there, Q has to go there. And again, putting these clues in between the two, tell me that that's where they've got to go. I just got to figure it out. Okay? U and W are both in the same period, and neither has electrons in the d orbitals. Okay, when do the d's start? 4th period. So this has got to be in the 2nd or the 3rd period. Both form molecules with M being hydrogen, that are sp3 hybrid shapes. U is bent, W is trigonal pyramidal. The oxygen family has the bent, and the nitrogen family has the trigonal pyramidal geometry. That we gave you. Questions? Okay. Now I couldn't put them in the 2nd period. Why? G is already there. So now I got to go into the 3rd period. Okay. V is a 2nd period element that forms an unstable trigonal planar molecule when bonded with M. So V would have to be in the spot of boron. Why is it unstable? Boron still only has 6 electrons around it. It is not full. And trigonal planar is the one that gives you the 3 bonding pairs, 3 total pairs, no lone pairs. That is the trigonal planar geometry in the boron family. X is in the same period as Q and combines with Q to form a tetrahedral molecule. Well, Q is here. That's the central atom to that tetrahedral. Since M is already the halogen, the only other thing it could combine, M is hydrogen. The only other thing it could combine with is a halogen. So that puts X as a halogen in that same period. Questions? Y is an alkali metal, is in the same period of the number of electrons that can fill any single orbital. How many electrons can fill a single orbital? 2. 2. 2 in the S's, 2 in each of the P's, that's why we get 6. 2 in each of the D's, that's why we get 10. 2 in any one orbital. Z is an inert gas with electrons in the D's orbitals, but not in the F's. So here is where we have D's, down here, from 4th period down. This is the only spot, though, where we would have them with D's, but not with F's. Here we would have F's. Questions? Inert gas means it had to be a noble gas. AA is in the same period as the number of electrons that could fill a p sublevel.
The sublevel of P gets filled by 6 electrons and has the same number of valence. So period 6, group 16 as we're going across. If AA underwent alpha decay, the resulting element would be BB and 2 alpha particles. Now, we told you, alpha decay gives off 2 protons per particle. This is giving off 2 particles. That means it's giving off a total of 4 protons. Go back 4 spots. Now, Shenza was the one person who caught, well, isn't this a spot where there's a break in the periodic table? Yes, but we're going to ignore that and go back 4 spots on this periodic table. Okay? CC would be when AA underwent beta decay and released 1 beta particle. Beta decay, you increase 1 proton. So CC goes right next to it there. Questions? DD and EE are 4th period elements. DDCC and EECC3 are stable compounds. CC has a charge of -1. So for DD to be in a 1-to-1 ratio, DD would have to be a +1. So DD goes here. The formula for EE is EECC3. That means this has a -3 charge. I'm sorry, it's supposed to be in the 4th period? Sorry, my bad. Thank you. Yep, thank you. I knew they were in the same period. I just got my periods confused. So then EE would have to have what charge? +3. So it goes here. By the way, I can only do that with ionic compounds with you. Covalent compounds, there are no charges. We don't do any of this. So these have to be ionic compounds when I give them to you like this. FF and GG are next to each other on the periodic table, but differ by 11 in their atomic numbers. That is either here or here. Since EE is there, it can't be here. So FF and GG are next to each other. FF has the larger radius, which means it is further to the left. HH and II are next to each other, but differ by 25. That has to be down here. HH is more metallic, make it closer to francium. JJ is in the same family as U, but has not yet been discovered. That means it's down at the bottom again. KK and LL are also in the same family as U. KK is more electronegative, which means it's where? Higher or lower? Higher. KK, LL. MM and NN are 4th period. The ionic radius of MM is larger than NN. 4th period. If it's larger ionic radius, that means NN must be, the ionic radius of MM is larger. That means MM has to be the non-metal and N has to be the metal. That's the only way in the same period it can have a larger radius, is if one ionic radius is if one is a non-metal and one is a metal. OO and PP are both 2nd period elements. OO has a higher ionization energy than PP. Ionization energy increases as we go across the periodic table. So OO has to be further to the right. PP has to be further to the left. QQ and RR are 5th period elements. QQ has a larger atomic radius but smaller ionic radius. All right, so in the 5th period, again, we've got one is a metal, one is a non-metal. QQ is a larger atomic radius. That means it has to be before RR. Now, RR being after would make it a larger ionic radius as well. SS, -1 is isoelectric to J. Here's J. SS must be right next to it. TT and UU can be stable as single atoms. That means they're what? Noble gases. TT is naturally radioactive. That means it's further down. UU goes up there. WW is found by electrolysis of a salt. Anybody know what electrolysis is? Good. Glad you asked. Breaking apart. So what are the two things that go into a salt? Which is a what? Alkali metal. And what else? What? Halogens. If you remember, I told you halogens had another name. What did halogen mean? Salt former. All the halogens are full here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go over to the alkali metals and let's put WW there. All right, 2 spots left. XX is more malleable than YY. Is malleable a property of a metal or a non-metal? So XX goes first. YY goes second. Okay. I find it almost impossible to believe that there's not a single question. So go ahead. What do you got? Boy, could you imagine how easy this test would be if we just did it as one big class with me giving you all the answers? So what do you got, ladies and gentlemen? Is there anything on here that you are missing that you want to ask me about? As of right now, ladies and gentlemen, I am supposed to have a meeting after school today. So unless Mrs. Firk cancels our meeting, I will not be here after school. And as of right now, tomorrow morning, I'm playing basketball. I will not be here tomorrow morning. So this is your last chance. Go.
Endothermic.
Endothermic, that is a reaction where you put energy into it, which means energy would be on the reactant side of the equation.
On the reactant side?
Reactant side. If you're putting energy in, energy is a reactant. If you're getting energy out, energy is a product. Shenza.
I'm still confused about color.
Still confused about color?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in that.
Here's what I would tell you. A lot of the clues are going to be orangium is a third period noble gas. Greenium is a second period alkali metal. It may be that easy. Now, I will tell you, when you use something, you're going to want to check it off. Because the last question is going to be the 3 types of colors that are left, the 3 types of this that are left, the 2 types of this that are left. You got to know which ones are left. So as you're using these, I don't recommend crossing them off because you want to be able to read them, but you should put a check by them. And in the end, you will have a couple of these left that will go in the last clue. Now, you know how we have been asking you those ones where it says, okay, AA, BB, and CC are in order of increasing covalent radii. It might be orangium, yellowium, and greenium are in the same period next to each other and in order of increasing frequency. So, what happens to frequency as you go across the periodic table? Frequency increases. Frequency increases. So Roy G. Biv, red, lower frequency than violet, higher frequency. Red, longer wavelength than violet, shorter wavelength. Red, lower energy than violet, high energy. Because as you go across, those things increase. There may be a clue that says The form of electromagnetic with the highest energy of all is the lightest element on the periodic table. What's the highest form of, or the highest energy electromagnetic radiation? Is it on your list? Then that's the one you would put. If it said the lowest energy, what's the lowest? But is that on your list? No. What's the one that's on your list? Microwave is the next one. So it needs to be on your list, okay? Even though it may not, it may be one of the forms. If it's not on your list, we're not using it. Okay? Questions? Okay. So, what can you use on your test tomorrow? Or Thursday, sorry, Thursday.
Anything?
Any of your notes?
Can we use the practices?
They're yours. You can use them. Yeah, you can use the notes on your computer. Because here's the thing. If you got to spend time looking this stuff up, you're not getting done anyway. And by the way, I took my test questions today and put them into chatbot or whatever that thing is. It was wrong. It gave me the wrong answers all the time. So I decided I'll let you use your computers. Because I thought, I don't know if I'm going to let you use them. Hell, when I saw how good chatbot did, it would have got about a 30%. So, again, if you're going to be spending all kinds of time looking up every clue, you're not getting done in an hour and a half. By the way, I know you've heard me say this before, and I will say it again. We used to give this test in a regular class that was 51 minutes long. Same exact test you're taking. You get an hour and a half to do it. You will have plenty of time to get it done if you know what you're doing. Or if you have your stuff organized that you can find things. You know I'm going to ask you about tetrahedral shapes and trigonal planar and things like that. It's on your periodic table, but I will tell you, as someone who has taken a lot of, I'll get to you in 1 second here, a lot of science tests where you could use a note card, the worst thing in the world is when you know you got it on a note card somewhere and you can't find it. Can't find it. So my suggestion, buy some highlighters tonight and highlight some things. Circle them, make them easy to find, things that you know you're going to need. It'll help. Jake. Can you use the what? That would be your notes. Yeah, you're welcome to it. Go for it. Go for it.
What is that name? Of the three?
Of the what?
Of the three? So, how long you phone and type
Wait, one more time.
That's the same thing.
Okay, so these you mean? Okay. This, because it's trigonal planar, this is boron family. That's the family that forms the trigonal planar. But these out here could be either hydrogen or a member of the halogen family. Okay? So on that one we just did, we got M right away. Well, these could be M. But if they say it's in the same period as this one, that would mean it would have to be in like the second period. Now these have to be a halogen. Okay? Okay? By the way, if you want the third one, you are welcome to grab one, or I can hand them to you now. Is there anyone who wants the third practice test? I'm not requiring it. And again, the answer keys are online. I checked today. The answer key for this is online. So if you try it and you get stuck, you are more than welcome to look at the answer keys. Okay? More than welcome to. Anybody else? Coming? Bringing it. If you want an extra yellow copy for whatever reason, they're up front here. Anybody else? If you need another periodic table because yours is filled on the front and the back, who needs another periodic table? By the way, if the bell rings and I'm still handing these out, they're up in the front. You can grab them if I don't get to you. You There you go. Come on. Jake, here you go. Anybody else? By the way, well, I will not be around before school, I don't think. We're still seeing if we get enough players. I will be in my room by about 7:15. So if you have a couple questions, quick questions, you could come and see me. You could come. Oh, you guys have an advantage. When's our final? I'll be around Thursday morning. So I guess if you had questions, well, I guess you could come and see me then. Okay. I don't know. Is that fair to the third hour though? Yeah. The hell with them. Okay. We don't like third hour anyway, right? That is my worst third period class this trimester. They are absolutely the worst third period class I have this trimester. Just something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. Read the sign on the door when you leave today. Well, when you read the sign on the outside of the door as you leave, it's good advice for you. Let's put it that way. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you on Thursday. Our last one together. I accept cash donations and gifts on the last day. Jake? They're yours. I don't want them.
Fashion item.
I don't want them. You can have them. They're no good for me.
Mine too. Fidget spinner. Yeah, I know. That's what.